The storm came in from the west, the way the worst ones always do in Georgia. It started as rain. Just rain. The kind that taps on the roof like it is asking permission to stay. But by 9 of the clock it had made up its mind. The wind picked up. The trees bent. And the whole sky turned the color of an old bruise. Inside the house, none of that mattered. Elijah Cross sat at the kitchen table and did not move. The light above him was yellow and dim. One of the bulbs had been out for 3 weeks. He had not replaced it. There was no reason to. The half-light was enough to see the table, enough to see the bottle, enough to see the glass. That was all he needed to see. The kitchen smelled like rain coming through an old window frame and something else underneath it. Something stale. Outside, the storm pushed against the walls of the house like it wanted in. He did not look up. There was a photograph on the table, face down. There had always been a photograph on the table. He had never been able to put it away. Could not bring himself to put it in a drawer. Could not bring himself to hang it on the wall. So it lived here, on the table, face down, in the half-light, close enough to touch but turned away. He had not looked at it in a long time. He poured again. This was the shape of his nights now. Sit, pour, wait for the hours to pass. Not sleep, because sleep meant dreams. And dreams meant Anna. And Anna meant waking up with that weight in his chest that took until noon to lift. So he sat instead. He outlasted the night the same way you outrun something that is faster than you. You do not outrun it. You just keep moving until it gets tired. He was very tired. The wind hit the side of the house hard. Something outside fell over. A chair, maybe. He did not check. He sat. And then, without warning, without anything to announce it, a voice. Not from the radio. Not from outside. Not from any direction he could point to. Just there. Filling the room the way warmth fills a cold space. Elijah. He went still. Not startled. Not afraid. Something quieter than that. The way you go still when you hear your name said by someone who knows you, really knows you. Not the name on your license or your church program. The name underneath that. He did not answer. He picked up the glass and drank. You do not need to answer. I only need you to sit still. He set the glass down slowly. His jaw tightened. His hand stayed flat on the table. Outside, the rain came harder. He sat still. Not because he chose to, because something in him had gone quiet in a way he had not felt in 3 years. Like a room where all the noise stops at once. Not peace. Not yet. Just the absence of the noise, which, for Elijah Cross, was almost the same thing, 10 years. That was how long he had stood at the front of a room and told people that God had not forgotten them. 10 years of Sunday mornings, of Wednesday nights, of phone calls at 2 in the morning from people who could not breathe through their grief. He had driven to hospitals at 3 a.m. He had sat with dying men and held their hands and told them what was waiting on the other side. He had stood at gravesides in the rain and said the words and meant every one of them. He was good at it, not because he was performing, because he believed. That was the thing people do not understand about Elijah Cross, the man he used to be. He was not a man who talked about faith the way some people talk about the weather, something to fill the silence, something polite. He was a man who had felt it, who had built his whole life on top of it, the way you build a house on solid ground. Not faith as an idea. Faith as the ground itself. He had told a woman whose husband died of cancer, God sees you. He had told a father whose son came home broken from the war, God has not abandoned him. He had told a teenager sitting in the back pew, the one who never looked up, the one who came every week and sat alone. You are not invisible. He sees you. He has always seen you. He said those things, and he meant them. And then one Tuesday in October, 3 years ago, the world cracked open. Not slowly. Not the way things usually break, with warning signs and small fractures you can see coming if you pay attention. All at once. Like glass. Anna was 6 years old. She had a laugh that started somewhere in her stomach and worked its way up. She called him Daddy even though he had been trying to get her to say Dad, which he thought sounded more grown up. And she always looked at him like that was the funniest thing she had ever heard. She had her mother's eyes and his stubbornness, and a way of tilting her head when she was thinking that made her look like she was working out a problem that the rest of the world had not even noticed yet. She always reminded him to bring his jacket. Every time they left the house, every single time, he would reach for his keys and she would say, Daddy, your jacket, because she had decided somewhere in her 6 years of life that this was her job. Keeping track of his jacket, making sure he was not cold. He thought about that all the time now, more than he thought about almost anything else. The accident was not dramatic the way accidents are in movies. It was just a moment, a road, another car. A Tuesday afternoon that looked exactly like every other Tuesday afternoon, until it did not. He was not even there. He got the call. He drove to the hospital. He ran down a hallway that felt like it was getting longer as he ran. And then a doctor said something to him, and the sound went out of the world entirely. He remembered a hallway. Linoleum floors, yellow light. He remembered sinking to his knees. He remembered saying, out loud, to whoever was listening, if anyone was listening, if you are there, if you are really there, explain this to me. And then silence, not the silence of someone about to answer, the silence of an empty room. He waited. He was still waiting. He got up off that floor and walked out of the hospital and drove home and sat in this kitchen, in this chair, and that was more or less where he had been ever since. You told them I would not leave them. The voice again, quiet, not accusing, just naming a thing that was true. Elijah looked at the table, at the back of the photograph. Yeah, he said, low. Rough, like a word that had not been used in a while. I did. You stood in front of hundreds of people and told them that I see them, that I hear them, that I have not forgotten them. He said nothing. You believed it. I believed a lot of things. The rain drove hard against the window. The glass shook in its frame. The single dim bulb swung slightly, and the shadows in the kitchen moved. You are not angry because you stopped believing, Elijah. He poured, did not drink, just held the glass. You are angry because you still do. The glass stayed in his hand. That was the thing he had never said out loud to anyone, not to Miriam, not to the people from the church who came by in the first weeks, and then stopped coming. Not to himself even in the clearest moments of 4 in the morning when the truth gets harder to avoid. He did not stop believing. He could not. He had tried. He had wanted to. It would have been easier if God was just a story. Then Anna was just an accident. Random, meaningless. The kind of thing that happens in a world with no author. Terrible, but not personal. But he could not make himself believe that, which meant he had to believe the other thing, that God was there, that God saw it coming, that God could have stopped it, and did not. That was not the death of faith. That was faith with nowhere left to go. Faith with its back against a wall. Faith turned into something that looked a lot like rage. He had not told anyone that. "I know," the voice said. Just that. 2 words. And somehow, those 2 words cracked something open that 3 years of silence had not. There was a mug on the kitchen counter, blue, small. A crack along the handle that had been there for years. The kind of crack that should have made someone throw it away but never quite did. Miriam's mug. She had left it. Or he had not given it back. Or maybe both. He was not sure anymore. It had been on that counter since she left, and he had washed around it and moved around it, and never once put it in a box or a bag or a drawer. It just stayed there, on the counter, in the half-light, like something that had not decided whether it was staying or going. He did not look at it directly. He never did. But he knew it was there. The way you know certain things are in a room without looking at them. The way the absence of a person can take up more space than the presence of furniture. 6 months. That was how long Miriam stayed after Anna. 6 months of coming home to a man who did not speak, who sat in this kitchen every night, who went through the motions of being alive, eating sometimes, sleeping sometimes, but who had gone somewhere inside himself that she could not reach and had not once in those 6 months, reached back. She did not leave because she stopped loving him. He knew that now. In a way, he had refused to know it when it was happening. She left because she had run out of ways to knock on a door that would not open. He had done that, not on purpose, not with cruelty, but he had closed every door and locked every window, and gone so far inside the darkness of that loss that he had forgotten there was a woman in the house who was also grieving, who had also lost Anna, who was sitting on the other side of a wall he had built and waiting for him to remember. She was there. He had not remembered. And one morning she was gone. He told himself it was better, cleaner, that she deserved someone who was still there, that he had nothing left to give. He had been telling himself that for 2.5 years, you became someone who would not let anyone touch the pain, the voice said, not harsh, almost gentle. The way a doctor names a thing so the patient can finally stop pretending it is not there. That was not strength, Elijah. That was the loneliest thing I have ever watched you do. He stared at the table. The rain kept coming. I was not going to let anyone stand in front of it, he said finally. It was the only thing I had left of her, the grief. If I let anyone near it, it would change, and then I would lose that too. The silence that followed was not empty, it was full. The way a room is full when someone is sitting in it, thinking, taking their time before they speak. I know, the voice said again, and then, softer. She is not as far as you think, Elijah. He did not move. The mug on the counter caught the dim light. Blue cracked handle. Still there. I am not asking you to fix anything tonight, the voice said. I am not asking you to be who you were. I am asking you to sit still, to stay, to let me say what I came to say. Outside, the storm pushed and the house held. Elijah Cross sat in the half-light with his hand flat on the table next to a glass he had stopped drinking from and a photograph he had not looked at in longer than he could remember, and did not get up. He stayed. That was all. For now, that was enough. The storm was not letting up. If anything, it was getting worse. The kind of worse that happens slowly, so you do not notice until you realize the sound has changed. The rain was not tapping anymore. It was pressing, flat and constant against every surface of the house, like something that had decided to stay. Elijah had not moved. His hand was still on the table. The glass was still there. half full or half empty depending on the kind of man you were. He had spent 3 years being the second kind. The voice had gone quiet for a moment. Not gone. He knew it was not gone. It had the quality of a presence that does not leave the room, only pauses. The way a person pauses before they say the thing they actually came to say. He waited without meaning to wait. "I want to take you back," the voice said. "Not to punish you, not to reopen what has been bleeding. I want to take you back so you can see what you could not see when you were standing inside it." Elijah said nothing. "Will you let me do that?" He looked at the back of the photograph on the table. "Does it matter if I say no? It matters more than you know. I will not go where I am not invited." He almost said no. He could feel the reflex of it, that 3-year muscle memory of closing, of turning away, of keeping the doors shut and the windows locked and the lights off. It was the most practiced thing about him now, the closing. But something else was there too. Something small and stubborn and still alive underneath all that practiced darkness. He said nothing, but he did not say no. The voice took that for what it was. The night Anna died. The words landed in the room like stones into still water. Elijah's jaw tightened. "You were in a hallway," the voice said. "Linoleum floors. The light was that particular shade of hospital yellow that makes everything look a little wrong. You had been running, and then you stopped running because there was nowhere left to run to, and you went down on your knees." He remembered. He did not want to remember, but the memory came anyway. The way it always did when he let his guard down. The way it lived just behind everything else, always waiting. "You said, if you are there, if you are really there, explain this to me." His throat tightened, and then you waited. And you heard nothing, and you decided that the nothing was your answer. "It was quiet," Elijah said. His voice was flat, careful. The voice of a man who has learned to say things without letting them carry too much weight. Because if they carry weight, they become real, and real things can hurt you. "I have been in that business long enough to know the difference between a God who is listening and an empty room." That was an empty room. "There was a nurse," the voice said. He went still. "You do not remember her name. She did not tell you her name. She was older. Gray hair pulled back. She had been on shift since 7 that morning, and she had 12 hours still to go, and she was tired in the way that people get tired, who spend their lives walking alongside other people's worst moments." Elijah's hand tightened on the table. "She came around the corner and she saw you, on your knees in that hallway. And she did not call anyone. She did not ask if you needed something. She did not say a single word. She walked over and she put her hand on your shoulder and she stood there. For 15 minutes. She did not move. She did not speak. She just stayed. The rain pressed against the windows. That was not nothing, Elijah. That was me. Moving through the hands of a tired woman who did not even know your name. You were looking for me in the silence, and I was standing right behind you with my hand on your shoulder, and you could not feel it because you were already deciding that I was gone." His eyes were burning. He did not blink. "You left before I could finish," the voice said simply. Without accusation, the way you say a true thing that does not need any dressing. "You stood up and you walked out and you drove home and you sat in this chair. And I have been waiting here with you ever since." He did not answer, because there was nothing to say to that. Because somewhere underneath all of it, underneath the 3 years and the bottle and the locked doors and the face-down photograph, he knew. He had always known. He had just refused to look at it. The night Miriam left, he shifted in the chair. A small movement, like someone bracing. "You were sitting here. In this chair, this table. You heard her car start. You heard her pull out of the driveway, and you sat here, and you did not go after her. She made her choice. You made it for her, 6 months earlier. The moment you decided that your grief was a room built for one. He picked up the glass, did not drink, just held it. She cooked for you, the voice said. For 6 months she cooked food you barely touched. She sat across from you at this table and asked you questions you did not answer. Not because she expected the old Elijah back overnight. She was not asking for healed. She was only asking for present. She was asking for some small sign that you were still in there, that there was still someone on the other side of the wall. He set the glass down. She would lie awake at night and pray for you, the voice said. Did you know that? Right there beside you in the same bed, she would lie awake and pray that you would come back. Not to the church, not to the pulpit. Just back to her, back to the room, back to the land of the living. Something moved across his face, passed through, and was gone. She was grieving Anna too, the voice said. Quiet now. The quietest it had been all night. She lost her daughter, and then she watched her husband disappear. And she was holding both of those losses alone because you had gone somewhere she could not reach you. And she stayed. Elijah. She stayed for 6 months trying to find a door. He was very still. You were so focused on your own darkness that you could not see hers. The words did not come as an attack. They came the way light comes into a room that has been dark for a long time, not violent, just honest. And the honesty of it was harder than any accusation could have been. He thought about the mug on the counter, Miriam's mug, still on the counter, still exactly where she left it. He had not bought it. She had brought it with her when they got married, some old thing from before him, from some period of her life he had not been part of. She had always used it for her morning coffee, every single morning. He used to tease her about it, said she was too sentimental to throw away a broken mug. She had laughed. She had a good laugh. He had not thought about her laugh in a long time. He had been working hard not to think about her laugh. She has not changed her phone number, the voice said. Not in 2.5 years. She has had every reason to. New city, new job, new beginning. She has not changed it. He did not ask why. He was afraid of the answer, not because it would hurt him, because it would not. There is something else I want you to see. He took a slow breath. 6 months ago, a Wednesday night. The bar on Route 9. He looked up from the table for the first time, not at anything in particular. Just up like a man who suddenly needs more air. You were not there for any good reason. You were there for the same reason you do most things now. To make the hours pass without feeling them. He did not deny it. You had too much. You know that. You knew it that night. You went outside because the room was too loud, and the cold was the only thing that felt real. The parking lot. He remembered the parking lot, gravel. One light above the door. His breath making small clouds in the November air. There was a car parked at the far end of the lot, a blue sedan, old. The interior light was on. Someone was sitting inside, had been sitting inside for a long time, he remembered. He had not thought about it since, or he had somewhere at the back of his mind, in the way you half remember something you did not fully process when it happened. You stood outside for a while, breathing. And then something moved in you. Something you could not explain and did not try to. You walked across that parking lot and you knocked on the window. He had knocked 3 times, just like tonight. The boy inside was 24 years old. His name is Theo. He had driven there that night for a reason that had nothing to do with drinking. He had been sitting in that car for 40 minutes, working up to something that he was not going to be able to take back. The cold came back to him now. The gravel under his feet, the way the window had fogged slightly from the inside. You knocked. He rolled down the window. And you, Elijah, you who had not said a meaningful word to a living soul in 2 years, sat down on the cold ground next to his car door, and you talked to that boy for 2 hours. I do not remember what I said. I know you do not. You were not entirely present. But I was, and I used your mouth because you were the only one in that parking lot. You were the only one who knocked. He pressed his hand flat against the table. You told him something, the voice said. And I want you to hear it again because you forgot it. You said, I do not know what God is doing, but I know that letting go right now is wrong. So I have not let go, and neither should you. The room was very quiet. Even the storm seemed to pull back for a moment. You said that, Elijah. You, a man who had not prayed in 3 years. A man who drove to a bar on a Wednesday night to feel nothing. You said those words to a boy you had never met, and you saved his life. He could not speak. Theo is alive. He is in his 2nd year of seminary now. He tells people there was a stranger in a parking lot one November night who said exactly what he needed to hear. He does not know your name, but I do, and the angels do. And the record of that night does not have a single word crossed out. Something was happening in his chest. Not pain exactly. The opposite of pain, maybe. Or pain moving in a direction it had never moved before. Outward instead of inward, breaking through instead of pressing down. You thought you had been useless, the voice said. A man disappearing into his own grief and contributing nothing and mattering to no one. But I used you, Elijah. I used you even when you had nothing to give. I used the very bottom of you, the emptied out, burned down, barely standing version of you. And I need you to understand something. He waited. That is not despite your brokenness. That is through it. The cracks are where the light got out. He was quiet for a long time after that. The storm moved. Not weaker, just different. The wind finding new angles, new places to push. The house settling around it, adjusting, holding. He thought about Theo, a face he barely remembered. The fog on the window, the cold gravel. He thought about Miriam, lying awake in the dark, praying next to a man who did not know she was praying. He thought about the nurse in the yellow hallway who had not said a word, just stood, just stayed. How many times had he stood beside someone else's worst night and done exactly that same thing, not because he had the right words, because presence was sometimes the only honest thing you could offer. He had given that to strangers for 10 years. He had not been able to receive it. The anger was never the problem, the voice said it quietly, like something it had been waiting to name. The problem was that the anger had nowhere to go. A man who truly stopped believing has nothing to be angry at, but a man who still believes, who cannot stop believing no matter how hard he tries, that man carries the weight of both the faith and the wound at the same time. That was Elijah. That had always been Elijah. Because if I am real, then you have to find a way to hold Anna's death and my existence in the same hands. And you have not known how to do that. No, he said. I have not. I know, and I am not going to give you a theology tonight. I am not going to explain it in a way that makes the math work out clean, because grief is not math. And I did not come here to satisfy your logic. I came because you are sitting alone in a kitchen at midnight with a photograph face down on the table and a cracked mug on the counter that you have not been able to throw away for 2.5 years. He looked at the mug. I came because I know what that mug means to you, and I know what the photograph means to you, and I know that somewhere between those two things, between what you lost and what you let go, there is still a man worth reaching. His eyes went to the photograph, face down, the white back of it, the small bent corner. I was there when Anna died, the voice said, and for the first time something in it shifted, something underneath the steadiness of it. And I want you to know something that I need you to sit still long enough to hear. He sat still. She was not afraid. The words moved through him like a current. In the moment that mattered, she was not in pain and she was not afraid. The last thing she saw was not the accident. I made sure of that. I would not let that be the last thing. What she saw was light and warmth, and then she was with me. He pressed his hand over his eyes, and the first thing she asked me, the voice said, softer now, barely above the sound of the rain, was where you were. He could not breathe. She said, "Where is my daddy?" And I told her you were on your way. You just needed a little more time. A sound came out of him. Not a word. Something older than words. She thought about that for a moment, the way she used to think, with her head tilted to one side. You know how she did that. He knew. And then she said, "Okay, tell him to bring his jacket." He always forgets. The sound that came out of Elijah Cross then was not crying the way adults cry. It was something that went further back than that. Something from before he learned how to keep things inside. Something he had not let out in 3 years because he had been so afraid that if he started, he would not be able to stop. He was right. He could not stop. He put his face in his hands and he wept the way a man weeps when he has been holding a river back with his bare hands. And finally he steps aside. The storm held the house. The dim light held the room, and the voice did not say anything else. It did not need to. It just stayed, the way a presence stays, that does not need to fill the silence to prove it is there. The way a father stays beside a son who is finally, after a very long time, letting himself feel the full weight of everything he has been carrying. It stayed. And for the first time in 3 years, Elijah Cross was not alone in the dark. He cried for a long time. There is no clean way to say it, no cinematic version where the tears fall beautifully and the man looks dignified in his grief. It was not like that. It was the kind of crying that takes over the whole body, that makes your shoulders shake and your breath come in pieces and your chest hurt in a way that is not a heart attack, but feels close enough that for a moment you check. He had not cried since the funeral, not at the graveside, not the night Miriam left, not in any of the 1,095 nights. He had sat in this kitchen with the bottle and the photograph and the dim yellow light. He had not cried because crying meant cracking open, and cracking open meant feeling it, and feeling it meant it was real, and he had spent 3 years working very hard to keep it at the level of real where it could not fully reach him. Anna's jacket. That was what broke him, not the theology, not the questions answered or unanswered, not even the knowledge that she had not been afraid, though that had moved through him like something seismic. It was that one small detail, the jacket, her tilted head, the way she had thought about it for a moment, the way she always thought about things, like she was taking them seriously because everything deserved to be taken seriously, and then offered the most Anna response possible. Tell him to bring his jacket. He always forgets. 6 years old and still looking after him. Still, even now, somewhere beyond where he could reach. Still looking after him. He wept until he had nothing left to weep with. And then he sat there, emptied in the half-light, with his face wet and his hands on the table, and the storm pressing against the walls of the house. He felt, for the first time in 3 years, like a man who had just put down something very heavy, not healed, not fixed, not suddenly full of answers, just lighter, just slightly less crushed by the thing he had been carrying alone in the dark. "I know," the voice said quietly. "I know." He wiped his face with the back of his hand. He looked at the photograph on the table, still face down. He did not turn it over yet. He was not ready for that yet, but he put his hand on it. Flat. The way you put your hand on something to let it know you are still there. "I am still angry," he said. His voice was wrecked. Raw. "I know that too. I do not know how to stop being angry. You do not have to stop tonight. Anger is not the opposite of faith, Elijah. You know that. You told that to other people more times than you can count." He almost said something, stopped himself, because the voice was right and he knew it. He had sat across from people in the worst moments of their lives and told them exactly that grief and anger and doubt were not walls between them and God. They were the conversation, the most honest one most people ever had. He had believed that. He had just not applied it to himself, because to apply it to himself would have meant staying in the conversation, would have meant bringing the anger to God directly instead of just shutting the door. And something in him had decided on that hallway floor in the hospital that the door was done, that there was nothing left to say. He had been wrong about that. He could feel how wrong he had been about that. "I owe you an apology," he said. "You owe me nothing. I do." I stood up in that hallway and I left. I decided for both of us that the conversation was over. "And I followed you home," the voice said simply. Without drama, just a fact. "I have been sitting in this kitchen with you every night for 3 years, Elijah. I was not waiting for an apology. I was waiting for tonight." He looked at the bottle on the table. He did not pour. "I want to tell you something," the voice said. "And I need you to hear it not as a preacher, not as a man who knows the language and can process it through all the right theological filters. I need you to hear it as a man, just a man, sitting in a kitchen in the middle of a storm. I am listening. I did not take Anna from you." He opened his mouth. "Let me finish." He closed it. "I know what you believe happened. I know the version of that Tuesday afternoon that you have been carrying. The one where I could have intervened and chose not to. The one where I watched it happen and did nothing. I know that is the version that broke you. The rain, the wind, the single dim bulb swinging very slightly above the table. Death came into this world, and it is not my design for it. Every death is a wound. Every one. I do not stand apart from them and observe. I enter them. I entered that one. I was in that car. I was in that hallway. I was in you when you went to your knees." His hands were trembling slightly. "You asked me to explain it. I cannot explain it in a way that will satisfy the part of you that wanted Anna to still be here. Nothing I say will make that right because it is not right. Loss is not right. It is real, and it is devastating. And I do not dress it up, and I do not minimize it." He was very still. "What I will tell you is this. Anna is not gone. She is not a memory, Elijah. She is not a photograph face down on a kitchen table. She is more alive right now than she has ever been. And she is not waiting with confusion or with sadness. She is waiting with the absolute certainty of a 6-year-old who has been told her daddy is on his way home. His chin dropped to his chest. She is not checking the clock. She has no concept of the clock anymore. She is simply certain. When she made up her mind about something, that was the end of the discussion. She had decided she loved the color yellow, and she had worn yellow every chance she got. She had decided that the dog next door was her friend, and she had brought it treats every week even after it bit her. She had decided her father needed looking after, and she had appointed herself to the job without anyone asking. She had decided. She was certain. He closed his eyes and let himself picture her for the first time in a long time without the armor up, without the protective distance he had built between himself and every memory of her. He let himself actually see her, the yellow dress, the way she tilted her head, the laugh that started in her stomach. It hurt. Of course it hurt, but it was a different kind of hurt than the one he had been living inside. The old hurt had been blunt and suffocating, like something pressing down on him from all sides. This hurt was sharp and clean. The kind that comes from something being real, from letting something be real instead of keeping it at arm's length because you cannot bear it. He let it be real. Anna, his daughter, waiting somewhere beyond the edge of what he could see with absolute certainty that he was coming. He pressed the back of his hand against his mouth. "Okay," he said. Barely a word, more like a breath that shaped itself into something. "Okay," the voice said back. The storm changed, not ended, not even quieted, but something shifted in the quality of it, the way weather sometimes shifts at the peak of itself, when it has done everything it came to do, and begins the long, slow work of passing. Elijah sat in the middle of it. He thought about Theo. The parking lot, the face he barely remembered, the fog on the window, the cold gravel beneath his feet. He thought about a 24-year-old boy sitting in a blue sedan with the interior light on, sitting there for 40 minutes, working up to something that could not be taken back. And he thought about something moving in him that night, something he had not named and had not tried to name. Just a hand going to a window and knocking 3 times, 3 times. Just like the door tonight. He had not made that connection until right now. "You've been wondering," the voice said, "what you are for, since you left the church. Since Miriam left, you have been sitting in this kitchen asking yourself what a broken ex-preacher with a drinking problem and a photograph face down on the table is actually worth to anyone." He did not deny it. Theo is the answer, not the whole answer, but the beginning of one. You did not have to be healed to help him. You did not have to have your faith intact. You did not have to have the right words prepared. You just had to walk across a parking lot and knock. The simplicity of that. It undid him in a different way than the tears had. He had spent 10 years building sermons, careful structures, chosen words, the right illustration at the right moment. He had been trained in the craft of communicating faith. He had taken it seriously, had studied, had prepared, had believed that the quality of the vessel mattered. And then the most important thing he had done in 3 years had happened because he was drunk in a parking lot and something moved his feet. "That is not an accident," the voice said. "That is not random. I know this world looks like it is made of accidents, of coincidences and bad timing and roads that should not have been crossed at the wrong moment. But underneath all of it, underneath every terrible thing and every unexplained mercy, there is a thread, and I am holding it." He breathed. "You were holding it too, Elijah. Even when you could not feel it, even when you had let go of everything else, Somehow, you were still holding the thread. And I did not let it go from my end either. The rain was still coming, but different now, a steady sound rather than an assault, something you could almost lean into. I am not asking you to go back to the church, the voice said. Not tonight. Maybe not for a long time. The road back from where you are is not a road that gets traveled in one night. I am not going to tell you that you will wake up tomorrow and everything will be clear. It will not be. There will be mornings that are still very dark. There will be nights that are still very long. He appreciated that, the honesty of it, the refusal to wrap everything up too neatly. What I am asking is smaller than that. He waited, turned the photograph over. He looked at it, the white back of it, the bent corner, his hand still resting on it from before. That is all. Just turn it over. He picked it up. He held it for a moment, face down, in both hands. He could feel the edges of it, the slight slickness of the photo paper. He knew what was on the other side. He had taken the picture himself. A Sunday afternoon in July. Anna, in the backyard in a yellow dress, with grass stains on her knees, and that laugh, mid-laugh, caught by the camera in the exact right moment. He had turned it over sometime in the first year. He could not remember exactly when. Only that one morning he had woken up and could not bear for her to see what he had become. So he turned it face down. And he had not turned it back. He turned it back. Anna, mid-laugh, yellow dress, grass stains. Head not quite tilted yet, just beginning to tilt. The thought not fully arrived, but already on its way. He looked at her for a long time. There she is, the voice said. There she is, he said. He did not know how long he sat there looking at the photograph. Long enough for the storm to find a new rhythm, long enough for the bottle to stop looking like what it usually looked like to him, which was a solution, and start looking like what it actually was, which was a delay. He pushed it to the far side of the table, not a grand gesture, not a moment of dramatic decision, just a small movement, an inch of distance. That was all. But the inch mattered. He looked at the mug on the counter. All the mornings she had stood at that counter with that mug. The particular way she held it with both hands even in summer. He had teased her about that too, said she held her coffee like it was something that might run away. She had laughed. He thought about what the voice had said, that she had lain awake in the dark and prayed for him, right there beside him, in the same bed, while he had been so sealed inside his grief that he had not known she was praying. She had been sending up prayers for a man who would not have thought himself worth praying for, and she had done it every night, and she had kept doing it long after she had reason to stop. He thought about her phone number, unchanged. 2.5 years. A new city. A new life being built from the rubble of what they had both lost. And she had kept the same number. He was not naive enough to think that meant everything was simple now, that he could make one phone call and undo 2.5 years of silence and 3 years of closed doors. He was not that far gone that he believed in easy resolutions. He had watched too much real life to believe in those, but the number being the same was not nothing. It was a door left slightly open. A crack of light under a door you thought was sealed. What do I say to her? He asked. You will know when you hear her voice. What if she does not answer? Then you will try again. He nodded slowly. He picked up his phone from the table. He sat with it for a moment. Just sat with it. The weight of it in his hand. Then, without warning, 3 knocks on the front door. Hard, urgent. The kind of knocking that happens in the middle of a storm when someone needs help, and knocking is the only option left. He looked up. He sat very still. 3 knocks. He got up slowly. His body felt different than it had when he sat down. Not lighter exactly, more solid, like something that had been dissolving had stopped. He walked to the front door. He opened it. The young man on the porch was soaking wet. His jacket was completely saturated. His hair was flat against his forehead, and his hands were shaking, not from fear, but from cold. Behind him, barely visible through the curtain of rain, a car sat crooked on the shoulder of the road with its hazard lights blinking orange into the dark. He was 24, maybe 25, young in the way that people who have been through something look young. That particular combination of youth and weight that does not quite go together. He stared at Elijah. Elijah stared at him. And then the young man said, with the stunned quiet of someone who cannot fully believe what they are seeing, You are the man from the parking lot." The cold came through the open door. The rain came with it. Elijah stood in the doorway looking at Theo. At this 24-year-old boy he had barely remembered. This boy who was alive because of a Wednesday night and 3 knocks on a car window and whatever words had come out of his mouth in the cold. He stood there, and he felt something move through him that he did not have a name for and did not need one. "Come in," he said. Theo came in. He stood in the small entryway, dripping, shivering, looking around the house, the way people look around a place they did not expect to end up in. His eyes moved across the kitchen, the table, the dim light, the bottle pushed to one side, the photograph face up. His eyes stopped on the photograph. Not because he knew who Anna was. He did not. He just stopped on it the way people stop on photographs of children, that instinctive pause. Elijah got him a towel, a glass of water. He gestured to the kitchen table and Theo sat down, and the two of them sat across from each other in the half-light while the storm worked itself out around the house. "My car died," Theo said. "I was on my way back from a conference. I saw the light." Elijah nodded. "I did not know whose house this was. I just saw the light." There was something about the way he said that. "I just saw the light." Elijah looked at the dim yellow bulb above the table, the one he had not replaced in 3 weeks, the one that should have been replaced, the half-light that he had not bothered to fix because there was no reason to, the light that had been visible from the road. He sat with that for a moment. "You told me something," Theo said. He was warming up, the shaking in his hands quieting. "That night in the parking lot, I do not know if you remember me. I do not think you were in great shape that night." "I remember," Elijah said. "Not clearly, but I remember." Theo looked at the table, at the space between his hands. "I was not doing well that night. I want you to know that. I was not there to drink. I was there because I had decided something. And I had been sitting in my car for 40 minutes, trying to make myself go through with it." Elijah said nothing. And then someone knocked on my window. The storm, the rain, the orange hazard lights still blinking out in the dark somewhere. You sat on the ground next to my car in the cold and you talked to me for 2 hours. I do not even know how long we were out there. My hands went numb and you never moved. And you said something that I wrote down the next morning because I did not want to lose it. Elijah waited. Theo looked up. "You said, 'I do not know what God is doing, but I know that letting go right now is wrong, so I have not let go. And neither should you.'" The words landed in the room, not like something new, like something that had always been there, covered over, waiting to be found again. Elijah Cross looked at those words, his words. Words he had said in a parking lot in November when he was drunk and cold and had no idea what he was saying. Words that had come from somewhere so deep in him that his conscious mind had not been consulted. Words from the man he used to be before the man he had become had taken over. Words that were still true, even now, even here. Even in this kitchen with this bottle and this dim light and 3 years of wreckage on all sides, he had not let go. He had thought he had. He had told himself he had. He had constructed an entire life around the idea that he had let go completely. But here was Theo, alive and warm and sitting across from him. And here were the words. And here was the photograph face up on the table. And here was the mug on the counter. And here he was still in this house. Still breathing, still sitting in this chair. He had not let go. "Thank you," Theo said quietly. "I do not think you know what you did, but I am here because of it." Elijah looked at him for a long time. Then he looked at the photograph of Anna. Then he looked at the mug. He got up, crossed to the counter, picked up the blue mug with the cracked handle. He held it for a moment. Then he set it back down, right where it had always been. He picked up his phone. He found the number. He looked at it. Then he typed. Not a call. Not yet. Just 4 words. The smallest honest thing he could offer after 2.5 years of silence. The thinnest crack of light under a door that had been shut too long. "I am still here." He sent it. He set the phone face up on the table. He sat back down across from Theo. The storm was quieting now. Slowly, the way Georgia storms end. Not all at once, but in stages. The rain pulling back a little, then a little more. The wind finding less to push against. The house settling. The voice, when it came, was the quietest it had been all night. Barely above the sound of the rain. That is the sermon, Elijah. Right there. Not in any church. Not with any prepared words. Just you still here at the table with a young man who is alive because you once knocked on a window, and a message sent to a woman who never changed her number, and a photograph face up for the first time in 3 years. He sat with that. That is the whole sermon. And it is the best one you have ever given. Outside, the first gray light of morning was beginning to separate itself from the dark. Not sunrise yet, just the suggestion of it, the world remembering that it knew how to be light again. Elijah Cross sat at the kitchen table and watched it come. Anna in the photograph. Mid-laugh, yellow dress, head just beginning to tilt. The blue mug on the counter. Theo warming his hands around a glass of water. Alive. The phone on the table, face up, waiting. He was not healed. He knew that. He was not going to pretend otherwise. There would be mornings that were still very dark. There would be nights that were still very long. The anger was not gone. The grief was not gone. Anna was still not here. And the shape of that absence was still the largest thing in any room he walked into. But he was here, still here. And for the first time in 3 years, that felt like something. Not everything, not yet, but something. The kind of something you can build on. The kind of something that, if you are very careful with it and very honest with it, and you do not turn it face down on the table and push it to the far side of the room, might grow into something that looks a little more like a life. He breathed. The light came. The storm passed, and Elijah Cross, 38 years old, broken in most of the ways a person can be broken, sat at his kitchen table in the early gray morning and did not look away.